Okay, well, as of right now, I don't know if you can see the forehead scar, but as it stands, that happened like 3 weeks ago. It was in a mental hospital. I've called a couple lawyers. I tried calling the bar association. I haven't been able to get a hold of anyone that can help me. Aspire Mental Hospital. Like, I didn't even want to go there in the first place. I wanted to go to the Central Hospital, Central, whatever. It's over by SeaWorld. But anyway, so the story starts like this. I left the homeless coalition because I just got fed up after being there for 7 months. And this was right after my bicycle got stolen. I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gone. So I was in a bad mood that day. I started walking down train tracks. I laid on the train tracks. I felt unsafe, so I called the police dispatchers on myself. They came and picked me up. When they picked me up, I told the officer, take me to Central, not Aspire. They said, oh, well, we got to take you to Aspire. So I was sent to Aspire Mental Hospital. From there, like, I was there for, 6 days? On the 6th day, well, I was actually there for 13 days, but we'll get to that. On the 6th day, they kicked me out of my room for shift change or whatever, even though most of the staff were letting me just stay in my room. And so after they kicked me out of my room, I started having a hyperventilation panic attack, and they had me go into the seclusion room, because, well, I was hyperventilating and panicking. As soon as I got in there, I started crying for like 10 minutes, and then I fell asleep. In the middle of the night, someone came and gave me a blanket. Oh, by the way, there's cameras in the seclusion rooms. There was blood everywhere, but we'll get to that. So when I woke up the next morning, because someone called breakfast, I go to open the door, and the door was locked in the seclusion room, and I had no way of getting a hold of people because apparently they were all in a meeting. So when I was locked in there in the morning, freaking out. I'm like, okay. So I start having another panic attack, punch myself in the face a couple times. Then I look up and I saw the vent had space for my fingers to get in. So me getting angry because I was agitated in there, waking up to a locked room. What if the building was caught on fire and everyone forgot I was in there? That'd be a burnt Jeff, right? Secondly, me getting angry and anxious, I decide, I'm going to put my fingers up in there and pull the vent down to get their attention. Turns out when I did that, I slipped on the bed frame and fell and landed on my skull on the ground. Not the bed frame. I landed on the ground. Like, anyone watch Ridiculousness? You know how a scorpion is when you, land on your head with your legs over your head? Yeah, that happened. I stood up immediately. There was blood everywhere. I started wiping my blood on the wall. I freaking put it on the glass window pane. Then I started screaming for 10 minutes. I'm bleeding from my skull. For 10 minutes. There was a guy in the hallway. There was a guy in another seclusion room. And all the other patients were standing outside. All of them saw what was going on. But all of the staff were in a meeting. So for 10 minutes, I'm bleeding from my skull. Okay, from that point on, I stood on the bed frame again. But this time to, go wipe my blood on the camera. And then they sent me to Advent Health after cleaning my face and the blood and everything. When I went to Advent Health, they put stitches in my forehead. Oh, well, first of all, after the adrenaline wore off from that, I got woozy and started talking like whatever. I lost sense of everything up until I got to Advent Health, and they put the very first stitch in. Because in the very first stitch, they did not put a lidocaine injection into my forehead to numb it. No, they just put the stitch in, and then after the first stitch, they put the injection in to numb it. It was 4 or 5 stitches. Then I said, don't send me back to Aspire. And they're like, oh, well, we got to send you back to Aspire. And this was day 6 or 7. So I was there for another, 5 days? Because on day 13, I was so agitated. The reason I got discharged, unless there was some other reason, but anyway, what I think is the reason I got discharged is because I had no roommates at that point, and I didn't know how long I was going to be there. So they're wooden bed frames. I picked them both up, not at the same time, obviously, it's heavy as fuck, but picked them up, slid them into the corner, and they got agitated with that. The head nurse got furious. She's like, this isn't how you get discharged. And then turns out I got discharged the same day. Okay, so here's another part after that, because this all was just the beginning of the month, because I was away for a month. After that, I came back to downtown Orlando, and I've been walking all day. Well, the day I got out of Aspire, I found a 20 on the ground, bought a 7-Eleven pizza, ate the whole thing myself over by the Rise chicken place, and the dude's like, oh, well, you gotta go, this is trespassing. So I ate the pizza, got up and walked away. The whole next day, no money, no food, so I was walking around Florida screaming water, and so the day I got out of Aspire, I went to my doctor's, Orange Blossom. I weighed 130. The next day, I got arrested because I stole a vitamin water and a Slim Jim from a freaking Dollar General Express on Roslyn Avenue over by Lake Eola. That is what I stole, a vitamin water and a Slim Jim so I could, stay alive. When they arrested me, I weighed 125. I lost 5 pounds in one day, walking around Florida with no water or food. So I got arrested. The cop read me the Miranda rights. He said, oh, well, all your money's going to stay with you. He said it was like $3.73. It was all a bunch of pennies. But beyond that, I was in jail for 2 weeks. When I got out of jail, I walked back to downtown Orlando. This was like maybe a week ago, because the head wound happened like three almost 4 weeks ago. And then I started trying to get a hold of lawyers. I called a couple of them, and then I called bar lawyer, and I just can't find no one to help. Because the Aspire Mental Hospital, I will never be going back there again. I specifically said, take me to Central, which is another hospital. Yeah, no, this is bullshit. I almost died in the mental hospital. Aspire Mental Hospital. I almost died there. I felt safer in jail than I did in the mental hospital. Yeah, so that's my whole past month. Up until that point, before I left the Homeless Coalition, I was doing fine. Until my bicycle got stolen, but I was doing Uber Eats deliveries for 3 months on my bicycle. The silver one I named Jessica. Anyway, that was stolen, and that's why all of that happened. Because I was just trying to work. I paid my phone bill, and I was getting ready to save money for an apartment because, I've been homeless for 3 years. There's more to this, but that's not important. Like, the whole me almost dying in the Aspire Mental Hospital, because head wounds are serious. Yeah, Advent Health did an MRI, after they did the stitches or whatever, or before they did the stitches. Either way. Yeah, so that's my past month. And something needs to happen with Aspire Mental Hospital, because that shit cannot happen to anyone else ever again. It really cannot. So I've been trying to get a hold of a lawyer, because that cannot happen to anybody else. I stood up immediately after cracking my head open. That can't happen to anybody else. I've been mentally disabled since I was 5 years old, and everyone's been saying I've been lying. But I was 5 years old. How could I lie if that shit started way back then, in 1995?